All right. What's up, beautiful people? Thank you for joining the On the Revel crew. Today we have a good one on dope people. We're talking to Garyn Angel. He's the founder of Magical Brands, but he's much more than that. The reason we wanted to talk to him is because this guy just really has an energy and an ethos that we really align with and really cares about the community. He has been a Forbes 30 Under 30 speaker. He's a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine, and he's been on the CNBC Next List, which if you guys don't know, that's with the likes of like LeBron James and Tim Cook. So he's legit. And we're gonna be talking about how he built his brand and his company, Magical Brands. So stay tuned. Welcome to Dope People Show.
What up, Revel fam? We're bringing it to you live here on a Wednesday evening. We have a very, very special guest that you just heard about, and we're super, super excited. Like, subscribe, comment below for your chance to win a free magical butter machine. And I hear it's not just a machine, it's a whole bundle. So
yeah, man, that's gonna be legit. I'm kind of pissed that I can't win that. Like we might have to bring the deck.
Support. You know the money's going somewhere good. We're going to talk more about that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So just as a reminder, everybody coming in, we appreciate you. If you want to win the Magical Butter Machine and the bundle, the gummy bundle, their top seller, you need to comment on the video here and tell us something that makes you happy. All right? Something that makes you happy in the comments. All right, let's get into it, Peter. Let's bring our lovely co-host.
Lulu, where you at? There she is.
Hey guys. Everything is good. It's Leo season. Happy Leo season to you, Peter.
Hey, roar. We are live.
The lions are out.
It's all the hair. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm super excited. It's been a long time coming that we feature Garyn, a great friend and a really amazing human being. So, should we get started?
Before we bring him in, actually we could bring him in, and then Lulu, tell him about how Magical has been part of our story over the last few years. Garyn, we're gonna bring you up here, man. What's up?
What's up, peeps? It's great to see you.
So if any of you folks have been to our in-person events pre-COVID, you know that every single event we've had a magical butter machine as a giveaway. And it's always been the hot piece. It's always been the one that gets all of the screams and all of the fingers and toes crossed. So thank you, Garyn, for supporting what we've been doing in New York for the past 5 years. So really happy to have you on our show today.
Together we win. It's been a long time coming. You know, first time caller, long time listener. Super excited.
Yeah, man. We're great fans. I remember back in the day when people used to meet in person. I would have people pull me to the side and like, Jacoby, I'm serious. You better pull my number for this raffle. I'm trying to get one of those machines. I had people try to like put money in my pocket. I'm like, guys, it's not happening like that. But it was the hottest ticket at our event. So we love the brand. We love the product. We love the founder. It's good to have you on, man.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, it's really been a rocket ship since the day we launched. It's been great fanfare and the community's totally embraced what we do. So it is a true together we win. And I'm glad that we've been flooding your community with great product and growing together.
We appreciate it. Plant medicine to the people. Democratize that shit.
Well, side note, it was actually my first extraction machine when I was making capsules for a friend that was near end of life. So that's how I actually discovered your magical butter machine, because I was tired of burning everything in the crock pot. So yeah, it was a really great introduction to everything that the machine does, and it really helps alleviate a lot of pain and helped my friend's passing. So thanks so much, Garyn.
Rest in peace to your friend. And that's really what this whole movement is about, is just empowering people and and getting people introduced to the benefits of plant-derived compounds.
All right, well, let's get into it, man. The first segment, I think we just kind of want to get to know you and how you got started. I know from the research and talking to you in the past that entrepreneur is like in your blood. So I want to just hear about before Magical ever existed, young Garyn back in the day in college. How did you figure out you're an entrepreneur, and tell me about these trials and tribulations for your first company?
I was an entrepreneur in 7th grade. I started selling bubblegum and sodas out of my Adidas duffel bag in the common area at middle school. I'm sure you guys all remember that hustle. I was the one that you would come to and get your bubblegum packs and sodas in between classes, and I'd try not to get caught in that hustle, if you will. But that was how I started. And then in high school, I opened my first computer company, Angel Computers. Our tagline was "Make It Fly." You like that? And it just waterfalled from there to mortgages. I went into finance and then became a money manager as my entrepreneurial journey went. I had my own boutique investment firm. So it's in my DNA. It's all I know how to do is just create business and really try to employ people.
So you were selling on the underground way back in the day, and then you're like, I just got to get back in the cannabis game, dodging the feds.
Yeah, it went from dodging the principal to how do you legally comply. So coming from the world of money management, compliance and integrity were the staple. You had to stay within the law, and so I really came up with the Trojan horse, a way to legally enter the cannabis space and not have advertising restrictions, not break any banking laws, and be fully federally compliant, which in the end, as we played long ball, really paid massive dividends because we've been able to scale into 23 countries in 9 years.
That's dope. And Peter and Lulu will tell you that I'm going to ask you a bunch about how you actually built that. I still want to go back to young you. Who starts a computer business when they're that young? Like what was the business? How did you even come up with this idea?
So there was a gap in the industry. If you go back to networking back in the early days, it wasn't as plug and play as it is today. And what I'm really good at is going in and identifying the problem as a troubleshooter. So I had a background in computers. I was geeky my whole life. My dad owned one of the first Apple franchises. So I grew up cutting microprocessors off of circuit boards and resoldering. That was just what I did at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And then so when I was 15, I actually went to my grandfather. I had a savings account, and I said, look, I want to tap the savings account and open a computer business. And my grandfather totally supported the idea. He gave me full access to my account and said, go. So I launched the business. And what I was really doing was when governments or businesses were having networking issues and they weren't able to resolve it with their own professionals or with outside consultants, they would call me, the young kid from let's say 15 to 18 years old. I would go in there and I just had an uncanny ability to walk in and within 5 to 30 minutes identify the problem and resolve the conflict. And it paid me a ton of money. Like I was balling in high school. Where most kids are struggling to get by. I was making $100,000 a year by the time I was 18. So, you can kind of understand what that lifestyle is like for a young kid, and recognize I'm 44 now. So, rewind the clock 26 years, 100 grand was a lot of money back then. And so I had all the cake in the world. I was taking my girlfriends on the best vacations. I had the flyest car, and my system boomed louder than anyone. So just going back to, Drop the Bass and a lot of those cool hit songs, I could blast anyone out of the water with my tunes. And it was life is really easy if you just solve problems for other people. You'll never worry about money. You'll never worry about happiness. It flows. And, fortunately, I've been in a flow state since I was born.
Nice. I could not imagine 17-year-old Jacoby with 100 racks, and it's probably like a good thing the world never saw that at that point. But more power to you. So you start the computer business, you're killing it back in the day. Then you get an itch and do this again. What did you do the next time?
So from computers, I started working at a mortgage company. One of my clients was a mortgage lender. And so when I sold my computer business, I actually sold my computer business to a dear friend of mine who was also the largest and really the only competitor I had in the Tampa Bay area. All I did at that point, now I'm 18 years old, I'm in college, and I joined a tennis club. And for the first 6 months, I didn't work. I had plenty of money in the bank, and I just got bored of playing tennis with 70-year-olds. And so after a little while, that's not very compelling for a young mind. You can only hear the same story under the tree. After enough matches, you're like, I need more. And so I went to who was one of my largest clients, and I said, I want to get back in the game. And within like 4 months, I was running the mortgage company. And I stayed at the mortgage company until I graduated from college. I graduated from college right as I turned 21. So I got out of college pretty quick, just a little over 2.5 years. And then my dad had a financial planning firm, and they had a bidding war for me. The mortgage company and my dad's firm had a bidding war for who was going to retain my services. And my dad came in and won. And so I went and I worked there. I was under his wing for about 1.5 years. And then I again had the itch, and I'm like, look, I got to fly on my own. So I broke out from his firm and opened my own boutique money management firm. And I did that for about 14 years until I broke free and went into the cannabis space.
Okay, I want to hear about that transition, but you lightly glossed over one detail that I've recently found out about you. So you flew through college. You also were running a business, but you were also the mascot. Am I right?
I was Rocky the Bull at my alma mater. I was too small to play football, but I really loved athletics, and I really enjoyed cheerleaders as well. So that was my way. Like, I was on the travel squad with the cheerleaders, and I was the only straight guy. So it was a great period of my life. I really enjoyed college. It was amazing. Go Bulls, USF. Still very, very engaged with my alma mater. I work closely with them. I'm on the cabinet of a couple of programs there, and I really love working with the university. I love my school. But if you've never been on stage, it's difficult to understand what it's like to be a mascot. But you can make 50,000 people go up and down, and so when you can do that, it's amazing. And I loved energizing a crowd and pumping people up. I had a couple of close calls as the mascot. I remember we were playing Cincinnati on ESPN, and the ref made a terrible call in our favor. I ran out on the floor and I stuck a $100 bill in the referee's pocket, and our athletic director lost his mind. He's like, you can't do that. He's like, you think that's funny. The rest of the world doesn't. And I'm like,
NCAA doesn't play.
Well, I don't want to hang out with those people. I want to hang out with the people that laugh at that and realize the comedy of the situation, right? Like, that's what life is. It's how do you laugh and just enjoy the vibrations of the earth in a day?
Hey man, I see how you operate. Work smarter, not harder. I get it. I see it. Just so you know, I can empathize. It's not nearly as cool, but when I was in high school, I wanted to be the DJ at Skate City. But before I could, yeah. And eventually I was tearing it up. But before I could do that, I had to be this like dinosaur on skates, skating around for like birthday parties and stuff. And like with 8-year-olds pulling your tail, it was awful. It was terrible.
It didn't work out quite like you had planned, huh?
Your experience is much greater than mine.
Yeah, one more fun story about the mascot, just because mascot stories are kind of fun. I was dancing one time in the alumni section, and my pants started.
Can you show me how you were dancing? I want to see it one more time.
Well, I got some pretty sick moves, but I can't really do it as I'm sitting in my chair, and I'll go out of frame. But I will definitely break it down for you guys at the end of this one. But so I'm sitting there and I'm getting my groove on. I'm jamming to the music, and my pants started to fall down. And I'm in the alumni section, so I turn around and I just mooned the entire and again, another time where my athletic director lost his mind. He was like, "Garyn, you can't do that."
Hey man, the entrepreneurs are always the problem makers too. So they had to know.
Look, if you're willing to sacrifice who you are for what you want to become, you'll have a bumpy ride. But the stories along the way are emblematic of the meme. Here, hold my beer.
All right, that's a bar right there. Make sure we capture that one. All right, so we got the rise of young Garyn, right, into drinking age and up. You're 21 and up now. You're a money manager. And from what I know about you, about 13 to 15 years in, you kind of got this itch to solve some problems in the cannabis world. So I want to understand a little bit about like, how did you start to dabble into cannabis? I think you might have even been investing in it a little early. Tell me about your early forays into this and what really inspired you.
Yeah, so as a money manager, you're always looking for opportunity. And in 2010, I started to make my first investments into the space. And some of them have panned out and made me a great ROI. A couple of them, naturally didn't work out. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? But and then in 2011, one of my best friends who was suffering from Crohn's disease also suffered from asthma and could no longer inhale cannabis. So at that point, he had to transition into making edibles. And there was no way for him to make consistent edibles at home, and in that time frame, there was no way to purchase them commercially. So that was really what happened. Was I was trying to solve a problem for him, and I came up with a double boiler for the grill. I wasn't trying to commercialize this at that point. It was just a double boiler for the grill, and it wasn't good enough. The UI UX was definitely lacking complete function. So I wanted to automate the process. Thankfully, I had that techie computer background, and so we developed a program sequence, put it on a PCB board, and started to automate the process of consistent at-home edible extraction. And to date, we're the largest in the space. We created the shelf space. We have over 400,000 satisfied customers. And the most important thing is, as Lulu alluded to earlier, was how many patients, we've helped along the way. The health and wellness component of life has been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And if you don't feel fully fulfilled at home right now, if you're listening to this podcast, the easiest way for you to give yourself a lift is just go out and help someone. And I know it sounds silly, but as silly as just helping an elderly person across the street, it'll make your heart smile, it'll make your mind happy, and most importantly, you're lifting someone else up who needs it. And so when you're able to do that and solve problems for other people at scale, the amount of gratification you feel and purpose in your life is really unparalleled.
I mean, that is probably, that last piece you just said is fundamentally why we wanted you here, because when you talk like that, I genuinely believe, like I feel it and I see it in your actions, and I know that like you authentically want to help people. And when I look at the industry at large, and Lulu and I have this conversation all the time, there's kind of this spectrum of the people that clearly don't care, and then there's the people that really care, but most are somewhere in the middle, like playing lip service over here, like pretending to, or kind of like halfway in, or we'll donate a little bit when it's good, but when it's going rough, like we're not going in there. So that's what I genuinely do admire about your brand and the company and you as an individual and what you've done. But I do want to understand, like, specifically, you were solving a problem for a valuable friend in your life. You made a mock-up of V1. It's something that like gets the job done. But you have a pretty solid job right now at this point in your life. Like, I get that you want to help your friend, but that doesn't mean you want to like give up what you're doing. So how did you go from like making something probably like kitchen quality double boiler to deciding, you know what, I think I'm going to leave this great, healthy job and pursue this full time?
Yeah, that was a challenge. I didn't see it as anything. Like, there was no way I wasn't doing it, but I had some definite family challenges. So I'm married, I have 2 kids, and I love being a dad. I love being a husband. There's nothing I enjoy more. I was making a 7-figure salary and really not working much in the financial management company. If you have good ideas in money management, it's money makes money. So it just waterfalls, and I was good. But I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't feel purpose. I didn't wake up and want to do more, right? Like I wanted to wake up and sustain. And so I understood sustainability, and I knew that life was going to be very easy for me, but it wasn't going to be fulfilling. So I decided to walk away, and I walked away from a 7-figure guaranteed real salary for the rest of my life that didn't require many hours of work in the office. It just required, this is going to sound silly, but I do think I kind of see the future. I can identify trends and invest in them. I've done it my whole life, from computers to investments to cannabis to psychedelics. I've been early. And so I had no doubt, but my parents thought I was insane. Now I'm 30, 33, 34 years old, and I'm telling my parents I'm going to walk away from a 7-figure salary at a boutique firm that I started, where I'm incredibly successful. And my mother-in-law, who I dearly love, she's one of my best friends, cried and said, I didn't know I had a drug dealer in the family. So this was like a real, my wife was like, don't do this. You know, we're comfortable. We have children. This is irresponsible. But you have to do what your heart tells you. If you have an itch and it won't go away, scratch it, baby, go get it. You know, so that's really me. I have no other way in my life. And I don't think I'm ever going to fail. And I really never have. So it was a no-brainer. And I'd encourage your listeners to do something similar. If you think you've got it, don't worry about failing. And even if you fail, it doesn't matter. Life is so long that failure will just be an education. And as long as you believe in your own education and yourself, you'll always make it. So just hold your breath, swim hard, and don't take the bridge, take the waterway.
Okay, I love this. I love the kind of like self-sacrifice for that thing inside the heart, because I fully believe that. And at Revel, we have so many people in our community that are like, I want to own this kind of license in New York and yada yada. And I'm like, you should own that. Like, you need to go after that. And we're grateful to be able to help some people with those experiences. But just generally, like, sharing more of these stories, like, you have to go shoot your shot. Like, you got to shoot your shot. So you get this calling, you're helping a friend, you are like, all right, I'm going to go do this. At what point do you have like a working, sellable version of what was formerly the double boiler? And how did you get?
Let's call it about a year. It took to get the program right and to get the potency, consistency, and effortless UI UX down was about a year start to finish. And it really took, like, this is what I do, is I mess with circuit boards and I play around with electronics. I'm a geek. Like I never really thought of myself as a cool geek, but as it's played out, I've started to recognize just what I am, and that's like, I'm a geek with a little bit of a suave. So I love marketing. Marketing was my favorite thing. In 8th grade, I took my first marketing class, and I fell in love with my teacher, Miss Mancini. She was amazing. And from that point, you just have those mentors and different teachers in life. She made an impression on me, and I'm the guy that will wear a bright suit with my company's name all over it. And when we're at a trade show and the after party, there's nobody on the dance floor, I'm the one out there just busting a rug, just getting the party started, bouncing around the floor and getting myself and my company noticed. Back to the Rocky the Bull thing, it's in my DNA. I don't care if you look at me, and this is especially the guys, right? Like, a lot of the guys will look at that clown out there dancing. I'm like, yeah, I am, baby. You know what? But I'm not afraid that you notice me, because if I didn't do that, that's what I'm more afraid of. So, I think being normal is boring, and I'm okay if people ridicule me and make fun of me, and I don't really care. Like, if you don't like me, I'm okay with that, because I'm just a geek, right? Like, at the end of the day, I'm just a geek. So, like, just the fact that you're talking about me or focused on me, I don't know. I think that starts to make me a cool geek, and that's what I relish.
I have to admit, I think it's funny that you're reflecting that in your 40s, you came to the conclusion that you're a geek, but in your bio, I read that you sold a computer company at 18, and then I found out you were a mascot, and I figured that out instantly. But I'm glad that you just came to the conclusion. I'm happy to have the cool geek on the show. All right, let's get back to building this business. So you built the workable, sellable version in about a year. Now we're hitting the market. The great thing about your business is you're not bound by regulation. 95% of the regulation that every other cannabis business has to operate within. You can sell across the country. You can sell across the globe. So you're in a really good pocket here. Tell me some of, like, the keys to those first couple years building this business. Let's say the first 3 years.
Hand-to-hand combat, right? Like, just everybody who was a social influencer in this space, be it a CEO, a patient, a parent, a veteran, a physician, I befriended. And I did it by giving my product to them for free, following up with them, asking them about the UI, UX, asking them how we could improve the process for them, and asking how we could be part of their community. Because all of these little silos are really what makes up the industry. And so when you can be a beloved individual and a beloved brand in all of the micro communities, you actually build a bespoke brand. And that's how we did it. It's really, I built every trade show booth. I broke down every trade show booth. I walked the floor ahead of the trade shows to talk to everyone. We did cross-country tours with veteran groups to support their cause, to raise awareness for PTSD and the unfortunate over-prescriptions that a lot of these veterans have, which then leads to suicide. And we lobbied for access to cannabis and other plant-derived compounds for them. Then you look at the Dravet patients and the successes that they were having with cannabis. We were their champions. We were helping them either financially access cannabis because it's not covered by prescriptions. So they're giving these kids benzos and all types of just nasty narcotics that are covered by insurance, but the $400 to $800 a month that it costs to treat that patient isn't reimbursed by insurance. So the parents frequently can't afford to medicate their children properly. So we would subsidize them so they could go to dispensaries or buy from street dealers the plants they needed and help them make extracts. It's as real as it gets, of just grassroots. Together we win. Let's get scrappy with you and try to lift you up, try to empower you, try to give you a better quality of life. And it gives me goosebumps as I talk about it because it's so freaking real. And it's awesome, really, what Team Magical has done around the world. It's special. Like and what the reality is, that's your Trojan horse. If you're not sure how to build your own business, it's really a Trojan horse of just hard work, dedication, passion, sacrifice, and believing you can do it. Believe in yourself, people. I know, I don't know you personally, but I know you have it in you to win out there. If you really want something more and you want it honestly in your heart, you can own it.
What's your go-to networking platform? Doesn't have to necessarily be tech, but if you're trying to like connect with people and you're building relationships, whether it's veterans, doctors, other patients, groups, what's like Garyn's go-to?
Yeah, they're all different, right? So for capital, I think you can look at groups like Tiger 21 and some of these great entrepreneur mentorship financial institutions that that you can pitch. The family office circuit is also just a plethora of resource. I think there's a great line, and it's, lose a mentor, find a sponsor. And my whole life I've had sponsorship. George Steinbrenner took me under his wing at a young age, and he hired me as a consultant, and I did good work for him. But in reality, he mentored me and taught me a lot in life. And another one of my great heroes, Hulk Hogan, who is a dear friend, has taught me tremendous lessons from, just eat my vitamins, train and say your prayers, all the way to just the life lessons of hardship and sacrifice. I think,
hold on, Garyn. I just have to make one comment, but because you told me about Hulk Hogan in advance, I have to say this. I learned a new thing about Lulu. We've been tight for like 7 years, and she just told me that she grew up a WWE, WWF. I don't know what, it's probably the earlier generation. She grew up as a huge fan, and like that just warms my heart thinking about like a 10-year-old Lulu like at a show, like yelling when they bring out the chair. So I had to stop because I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, she's a Hulkamaniac, and I love it. Look, I think that people are good in general. Just people are good, and as long as you understand that people are good and you don't expect anything from them, they'll bend over backwards to help you when you prove that you don't want anything other than to help other people. And that's how you get sponsorship. That's what worked with Mr. Steinbrenner. That's why he embraced me and loved me, is because I offered my services for free, and ultimately it waterfalled down to me having a great lifestyle and friend and similar to all the different people I know of influence. They've really come out of the woodworks to help lift me up and mentor me and sponsor me. And I think the root of the question was, how do you find the group? And I think the biggest thing you have to do is understand what mentors you want. When I was starting this business, Gary Vaynerchuk was a great influence on the content that I was consuming, and I really wanted to meet the man. And I actually wound up, Hogan introduced me to Gary V, And then I wound up working with Gary Vaynerchuk very closely, and actually he designed our logo. So super cool. Just if you know, so I think the answer to the question in a really long way is, it's not about one group, it's about how many groups you can get to and who the biggest person is in that room, and how do you get them to notice you, right? And the way you get them to notice you is you usually offer them help with something they're suffering from. Like Gary, the way that I got close with Gary was I offered to help his brother, and that opened the door and showed that I wasn't there as a taker, I was there as a giver. And when you're around people of influence, they're always being bid at, right? I as I've done okay in my life, I kind of describe it as Pac-Man, right? Like you feel like you've got all these people chasing you and taking bites at you, and so when you're giving Pac-Man the pretzel, oftentimes that's a power up for yourself in a longer game approach.
And you feel that energy, like you can sense somebody's intention. And that was one of the first thing I felt from you, Garyn, is like your enthusiasm and your positivity is like, it's contagious. Like when I'm hanging out with you, we just have the best time, just in the, playing that card game, just laughing. And, it's just really interesting what you say, which is something that we always talk about, is it's so important to offer something, right? And not be one of the takers. And I think that is such a huge lesson that a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, forget about, right? Which is like they're trying to get their project going, so like they need, but a lot of the times, it backfires, because then you're taking resources but not really participating to give back into the well. And I think that's one of the smartest things that people who are trying to create a company or start something must understand is, give before you take, and the world will open to you in a way that you will never have imagined.
Yeah, the friend that has the short arm every time the bill comes is probably not the friend that's going to get invited to dinner very often, right? So I think the biggest lesson to learn is, while the people you're with may have more resources than you, when you take one step backwards, long term, you're really taking two steps forward. And the more times you take one step backwards, the faster you get to the top of the stairs. And it's a difficult thing to do when you don't have enough money in your account to pay your own rent. But if you're worried about paying your rent this month, you'll probably never have the big house long term. So if you have to give up the apartment and sleep on your friend's couch for a couple months because you're taking steps backwards, the reality is you'll probably get on an escalator much faster and not have to worry about your rent payments eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I've felt that in my life. I, at one point, started a company where I was not making any money, it's dead broke, but I figured out how to make a penny like stretch. I had it down. And now that I've been fortunate enough to kind of level up since then, like that was like 5 years ago, it's the budgeting, the whole game plan financially, like my life has changed, but I had to go down before I could come up. And I think sometimes we try to go forward too quickly and you're missing the lessons that are right in front of you. And like, that's one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. So I completely align with that stepping back analogy.
Yeah, and we all want it so fast, right? It's hard. I think it's harder for people today than it was for people in our age group, just because Instagram makes a great story, but it's not a real life. And so you see these people out at the club, or right, I spend in the club what you got in the bank, right? Like that's the mentality of youth. And unfortunately, it's not sustainable. And when you were talking earlier about philanthropy and giving, one of the lessons that I learned was sustainable philanthropy, right? Like if you just come out and you spend your entire wad out of the gate, you're not going to be able to support those people ongoing. So how do you get to a spot so you're dripping money out to support causes on a constant basis, but the sum of the pieces is much larger than the one-time whack? And it's a very tough game to play, and it's a tough thing to learn. But when you do, everything becomes sustainable. And a lot of the way that you do that is you don't blow the money on yourself, right? It's okay to go to the club and have a baller night, but make sure when you do that you're with a person of influence, and that person of influence can eventually become a sponsor or a mentor for you, because you showed them a great time and they want to be around your energy and your aura, right? That what you have to give that's free is your energy. And if you can plug people into energy that they can't feel on their own, be it being a mascot or, whatever it is, a lot of your problems will start to solve themselves.
So, we talked about this a lot, and it's really like the core of today's show is kind of that give back mindset. And look, if I'm going to be completely frank with you, like, not to knock the hustle, there's some great privilege in your life, right? You have also hustled and made it happen on ways that you maybe nobody else could have done, right? But how do you take the blessings and the hardships and create a company that has that mindset? I already understand how you create the individual that has that mindset. That makes sense to me, right? Let's give first, let's empower people. But I feel like the people at your company, and when I see you guys at different events or even just like on my screens or my phone or computer or whatever, I still feel that energy. So how do you build a company that is able to stand behind that same aura, if you will?
Hire people with better energy than you have, right? Like that's really the key. If you're hiring people with less energy and worse energy than you're probably trying to control them as a leader. And if you hire people with better energy than you, they're probably going to control you. And at the end of the day, you work for them anyway. So if you want to have sustainable employees and teammates, you have to hire people who are better than you. And I'm the worst person in my company. That's the way I look at it. Like every one of my teammates is better than me at their own select job, and the collective conscious of the group is just the best. I love my people so much, man. Like I would do anything in the world for them, and I do. Like when a teammate's car breaks down, I give them a check to go get a new car, right? When somebody's having a child, I give them a check to start a savings account for that kid. And you had mentioned privilege earlier, and that's true. My wife and I and my kids were talking about it today, how blessed we really are. And for me, I'm a spiritual person. And, I had an English teacher who gave me this great story. He said, look, I can't tell you if God's real or not. I'm going to live my life to never piss him off. And that's really been how I've lived my life is I give it all to God, man. Like, I thank you for every blessing I have. I don't deserve any of them. I recognize that I don't deserve any of them. And I'm just thankful that you continue to waterfall me with good ideas and energy and allow me to tune into where the world is going and put money in the right places.
So I love the mindset of hiring people. I've always heard like hire people better than you, but I love the idea of like hiring people with better energy than you. However, like when I look at the cannabis industry, and I kind of explain that spectrum of where it's not quite clicking for me when I look at other companies, a lot of them don't have this give first mindset. There's no humility about where they came from. It's always about where they're going, or like, sure, I'll contribute to that organization if I can check that PR box and keep it moving. But like, look, you met with us yesterday and prepped for this. We're like, dude, let's do a giveaway. So, you know, like that's just like your energy and how you operate, which, by the way, let me just quickly plug, message down below what makes you happy if you want to win a magical butter machine. We're going to let it rock for a week. So you have 1 week to put that in there. But yeah, man, like that's just the energy you're bringing. I love it. Why do you think these other companies don't seem to embrace that? What are they missing?
So we've been self-funded, and when you're self-funded, you're not as focused on the short-term EBITDA. And unfortunately, shareholders don't understand what it takes to build a brand and to build a community. You know, they're making an investment, and tomorrow they want it to be worth more, and the next day they want it to be worth more. But if you look at all the best companies that have ever been built, an Amazon, a Tesla, or whatever, those companies weren't instantly profitable. What they did is they invested in customer acquisition, UI, UX, being technologically superior, and those things take time. I think that for this space, the way that you get ahead is to really help people. Like cannabis flat out helps people. Like we understand that a lot of people have endocannabinoid deficiencies, and when they start to consume cannabis, it either helps their personality, their health, or their wellness. And so by giving people our product, you can make a massive impact on somebody's life. And when you do that, they're going to sing your praises all over town. They're going to introduce you to their siblings, to their parents, to their friends. And I think of it like wine, right? Like wine is beautiful not because a nice bottle of wine is great. It's about the story of that bottle of wine, the vineyard that it came from, right? The fact that the year before the grapes had a drought and they didn't process. So the family had a struggle to make this vintage one, and they were on the brink of bankruptcy, and now taste how delicious it is from the fruits of their labor. And then when you I'm going to say when you swig that wine, because I like, I'm the guy that wine bottle really, I know there's 4 glasses in that bottle, but I'm probably going to have 2 of them.
Swig away, bro.
Yeah. So, because I want to swig life, right? Like that's really it. I really want to get after it. And, I think that's it. It's savoring and understanding how beautiful each piece of fruit is in life, and also understand that some people don't deserve your fruit. And that's one of my favorite lines. Like, if you're not a good person, you don't deserve my fruit. And I'm okay telling you that. And that's the nicest way I can tell you to go F off, right? Like, and I'll say it to someone. I'll be like, look, man, I got a different kind of energy, and I'm not sure that you deserve my fruit if that's the way you look at life. And what I'm really saying by that is you don't deserve my fine wine, right? Like that's the reality. And I think it's that simple. Be okay telling people that they don't deserve your fruit, because if you're working your face off for it, and they're not someone you want to share a beautiful bottle of wine with, don't keep them in your life. Get them out as soon as possible.
Not to keep playing on the plants and off the analogy, but what other plants do you find customers infusing and making products with the Magic Butter Machine? I know for me personally, I love adaptogens and root herbs and such, but I want to give you a chance to chime in.
Yeah, I think cannabis is a dietary essential. So let's just check that box first, and let's move on to fungi and mushrooms. I think fungi and mushrooms are really underutilized tools that our bodies need. Just as cannabis is a dietary essential, and a lot of people have an endocannabinoid deficiency, I feel that a lot of people, if they had the right balance of mushrooms in their diet, they would have more mental clarity, their immune system would be stronger, and ultimately they would be happier and more successful in life. So what are the ways that you can really have breakthroughs? And the breakthroughs come in many different types. Some people are looking to speed up their metabolism because they're fighting weight problems. Other people are having depression and just battling happiness. So I think mushrooms in general are amazing, and I think psilocybin is one of the most useful compounds on this planet. Everyone has trauma, right? Everyone's lost a loved one. Everyone's had issues with their parents at some point in time in life, their siblings, their friends, their coworkers, and a lot of people, these issues mentally are either top of brain or deep, and these issues are vampires of their happiness and their overall wellness. So I've used all of these tools at different points to get the vampires out of my brain and allow me to really share fruit with people I love and that love me back. And I think psilocybin's a great tool. I think reishi, turkey tail, lion's mane, all of these are great compounds that your body needs and wants. And just give your body what it needs and wants. And if you do that, you'll be sustainably happy, and you'll probably be a lot more financially successful. And when you have those two things, you're going to connect better with your family at home. And if you have a good home life, you're probably going to have great friendships. And what I'm really trying to do here is give you a linear thought process and make you a well-rounded person, so you're not putting people in corners and having conflict.
Hey, you're going to get a sympathetic crowd from these three Revel people. We might be a little biased, but we are totally on board with what you're saying. Look, man, we got to go here pretty soon. I'm just going to send one more reminder for people to hit the comments. Hit the comments right now if you want to win the Magical Butter gummy bundle. Tell us what makes you happy. He wasn't lying. He said the dance moves are coming out. He can't help it. I'm here for it. But hey, man, it's been a pleasure. Before we wrap up, one last question for you. Maybe it's kind of two. What's on the horizon for you? What are you working on? What big things are coming up? And where can people find you?
Yeah, we're working on extending our vertical so people can really take their wellness into their own hands by growing at home. I think that's the next big push in this space. So we're positioning ourselves well to give people a great UI UX for home grows for mushrooms, cannabis, and beyond. I'm giving you a little heads up. Even my competitors, I don't care. I don't think I have any competition in the world, because you're never going to take my ideas before I do. So, and ultimately, I just want to make products that people love, that are designed well, that are stylish. I think style is a big deal, and you have to have good style in life. And fortunately, that's, I might be a geek, but I've always had good style. So, if you're an entrepreneur out there, do everything that you can to have great style, and you'll probably be sustainable. Just love people, man. Just spread love like butter. And this giveaway that we're doing is our gummy bundle. It's our best-selling bundle. So I'm really excited to share it with you. We also have new gummy mixes, and we continue to come out with ingredients so people can make their edibles at home and do it in a way that is simple and consistent. I can't say it enough. Consistency is key, and that's what we focus on, is giving you a consistent experience. Edibles are great. Make salad dressings and start to improve your diet, because it's a lot easier. I don't know if you guys have this challenge, but sometimes when I go to lunch, I want fried chicken wings and French fries. But I go into the restaurant saying I'm going to have soup and salad. So I've learned that if I'm able to infuse my soups and salads, I don't want chicken wings and fries and beer. So I think just making recipes for your own wellness and health will help you keep your weight down, keep your happiness up, and make better diet decisions.
Boom. And where can we find you?
You can find me everywhere, baby. So magicalbutter.com is where we're at on the web. We also own the word magical around the world. So magical.com, Canada, Mexico, EU. We have all those domains as well. Me personally, I'm Garyn Angel. It's Gary with an N, Angel, A-N-G-E-L. So guys, remember in life, you got ropes and wings. Fly off them cliffs and never hang yourself.
Bro, there we go. They got magical all across the world. J.K. Rowling was like, damn, I should have done that first. But he's the branding king right here. Hey, man, it's been really great talking to you. Everything that we've been saying is like actually, we're not just like blowing smoke up your ass. Like your aura is authentic. And even though we're in this virtual environment, it's just really cool to see what a great human and company you've built, and it's inspiring. So we hope our audience can glean a lot from that. And like I said, man, it's been an honor. Thank you. If you didn't only pass the Lulu test, you like hit it with flying colors. The Lulu vibe test is like what I live my life by. So once that happened, I knew this would be a hit. So we appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming through. Thank you, everybody, for joining. YouTube, podcasts, wherever you are. We love you.
Air hugs to all. Love you guys.